there, fellow flight sim fans. Let's talk about flight planning in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now we're talking about release 1.7.12, which is 2 days after its initial release. So hopefully some of the shortcomings that we'll see here in this video will be corrected by the time you watch this video. But as of now, there's two methods that I use to plan flights in this simulator. The first is to use the world map, which you see here. Okay, and basically use the waypoints and airports on this map to create a flight plan. But the second is to use SkyVector, which is a very common charting software and flight planning software that's web-based, that's free to use, to create a flight plan with existing waypoints and have a navigational chart on the back so that you can correctly navigate within real world and create a real world flight plan, as I did here. And we're going to take a look at both and a way to take the SkyVector flight plan and actually import it into Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now there's a couple of quirks that we'll talk about, but for the most part you can definitely do this. But let's take a look at world map first. So first thing you want to do here is you want to go to Open Filters, and here you can see you want all this stuff turned on. Airports, especially the navigation stuff, okay? You want airspaces, nav aids, and fixed nav position, okay? You want all that stuff turned on, okay? The rest of the stuff, that's up to you. But the real important stuff is under navigation. Turn all that stuff on. As you can see, when you do that, okay, a lot of little dots will show up, all right? But let's say I wanted to plan a flight from East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, okay, to Cape May, and that's KWWD, okay. So now I got a straight line, but there's a couple of waypoints I want to add in. I want to go somewhere, and I want to move around the map. Now, unfortunately, as of this release, there's no sector chart here, so I really don't know where the hell I'm going. There's waypoints. If I scroll way in here, you can see these little triangles, pyramids. Those are waypoints, okay, and I can actually select a waypoint here, click on that and say add, and it'll add that. You can see up here, it'll add that to my flight plan. Or I can go down here, let's say to Cape May, see if there's any waypoints. There's a waypoint Uzuhu, okay, and I could add Uzuhu to my waypoint, okay. But it's very difficult to navigate or to create a flight plan when the map is just gray, and I haven't found a way to overlay a chart on this map. So if you want to do a point A to point B, or you kind of know where you're going, this is a great way to do it. All right. The other way to do it, though, let me just reset this map here. Okay. The other way to do it is to use an external program, which is SkyVector. Okay. And here, as you can see, I've created a plan. I'm going from East Stroudsburg. On the sectional charts, I can see all this information like elevation and stuff like that, and there's actually waypoint markers, a bunch of stuff here. And if you're into navigation, aviation navigation, I'm sure you're familiar with this chart. And these waypoints are all part of general navgraph databases for GPS. So I've entered this flight plan from Stroudsburg to Cape May, and I've got 4 waypoints in between. Normally, if I put this into a GPS in a real plane, they're going to show up, okay, or ForeFlight or some application like that. Once I've created this, okay, all I do is I go over here, and next to my name up in the upper right-hand corner here, I hit link, and I copy this link, okay, and then I have to download a program called Little Nav Map, okay, and I'll put the link in the description. It's a free program, and it's really actually a pretty cool navigation tool for creating flight plans. But I'm going to go into new flight plan from route description, okay, and I'm going to paste that link into there. Now I have to do a couple things here to clean this up. First, I want to select right here, beginning of the first airport, and I want to delete all this stuff, okay? So the first airport is the first part of my flight plan. Now these %20s, I want to replace those with spaces, okay? Get those out of the way, okay? Getting those out of the way. All right, there's my flight plan. Going from East Stroudsburg to Cape May, and I've got 4 waypoints in between. I'm going to do read route description, It reads it. It's telling me, it confirms it, 136 miles, and here's the navigation. Then I hit create flight plan. I don't have to save it. And once I do that, you look in the upper left-hand corner here, and here's my flight plan. Once you're done this, you go over to File, and you save as PLN. That's the format. The .pln format is the format that Microsoft Flight Simulator understands. So I do save, okay? And I'm saving it in a directory under App Data, Roaming, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Missions, Custom Flight, okay? And you can see I've already actually put here something in here. I'm just going to click on that, change the name. So it's going to be N53 to KWWD. That's just how I do it. I hit save. It's going to tell me it wants to replace it. Yes, it's going to replace the existing one. So now my flight plan is saved. I don't really need Little Map anymore. I go back to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and on my world map page, I do load save. And I'm actually going to load. I go into this directory, missions, custom flight. There's my flight plan. I hit open. Now it's going to show my flight plan, okay, in the world map, which is awesome, except it's missing 2 waypoints. So it's got pens, it's got MAB PV, but it's missing the other 2. Now here's what will happen, to my understanding. When you, it'll follow the waypoints, obviously, that it recognizes. The G1000 will follow those waypoints. But what will happen here is when you're flying, it'll go off course. Okay, because it doesn't recognize this waypoint, it's going to go off course to the next waypoint. So the next waypoint is going to be Cape May. So in the case of Microsoft Flight Simulator, it would not follow this route perfectly. Now, what I could do, okay, is I could go into here and I could select a waypoint. Let's say there's another waypoint I want to, like a Zuhu. I know this one is a direct route into runway 10, okay? Or let's say Whistler, okay? So I'm going to select Wuzu, okay? And I can do add. And now what will actually happen, this is going to get added. You can see it going to get added. Now the G1000 is going to follow this plan, all right? So it's going to actually skip this, even though it's here, Kimba. It shows Kimba. For some reason, it's not. It doesn't add. Let me see if I can add it. Oh, let me add it there. So it didn't recognize it in the PLN, but it let me add it in the simulator. That's really weird. So I'm going to remove that one. I'm learning as I go along here. So now I got Kimba. So what happened was it didn't recognize it in the plan, but it recognized it when I went into Flight Sim. Now this one it doesn't recognize at all, whatever this one. Oh yeah, Landy. So let's go right-click that, add that. Okay, so there you go. So what happens is you enter your flight plan, and then you can go in here, and hopefully those waypoints will be in there, and you may have to like manually add them. So now I've got a complete flight plan from Strasbourg, Pens, MABV to Landy to Kimba to KWWD. All right. So there's kind of a little combination of using SkyVector and then using World Map. But in the end, we used a sectional chart, okay, to create our flight plan, and we were able to get it into Microsoft Flight Simulator with a few manual adjustments, and now we have a flight plan created that we're going to follow. All right, so once this is done, we're going to hop into our Cessna with the G1000, and I'm going to show you on there how it's activated. I'm going to pause here for a second while Microsoft Flight Simulator loads up. Here we go. All right, so now we're in the Cessna. Let's scroll into our G1000 here, and we'll pull up the flight plan. Now, unfortunately, because we added those waypoints on the world map, it's got 2 entries for Landy and Kimba, and I have not, there's no way in the menu, unfortunately, like if I do cursor and I select Kimba, the one with 0 nautical miles, because that's obviously the bogus one, and I go to menu, there's no way right now to delete a leg, unfortunately. You can only delete a flight plan. So we're kind of missing some functionality in the G1000. We'll just clear that out. I'm going to try this out, but I'm pretty sure what'll happen here is it'll fly to this Landy, okay, and then it'll fly to the Kimba, the ones that actually have the nautical miles, and it'll skip over the ones that are that have 0 nautical miles. But I'm gonna fly this, and I'm gonna let you know that that's the case. Now you can see there's a few quirks with the G1000 there. It's heading to pens. It'll hit pens and then that should turn magenta from pens on, but it's sort of like on the map itself it missed pens as the waypoint for pens there. There you see it change to magenta as we get closer to the pen. So there's some things that still need to be worked out with the G1000. Now we're coming up to map PV, and you can see here as we zoomed in a little further, the pyramid triangle is off of the actual line here. So the plane's going to go to that triangle, and then it'll hopefully vector back into this way right here. So that's a little bit of a glitch that's got to be fixed. This magenta should go right to that triangle and then should go like that. But yeah, as you can see, the GPS line should actually be connected here. It's going to here, so that's a little bit of a problem there. And there's our turn on map PV to the southwest, and we'll get on that leg to the next location, or the next waypoint I should say, which is Landy. And Landy is the duplicate that we have in our flight plan, so we'll see how the G1000 reacts there. So you probably noticed before that the simulator was running a little chunky, getting some stuttering, and once I shut down little nav maps, it started running very smooth. So a little lesson there: don't run little nav maps while you're running the simulator. Definitely, at least for me, it caused a problem. You can see now if I go outside, everything is running very, very, very smooth. So just a little word to the wise. Alrighty, we're coming up to Landy. This is the waypoint where we've got the double entry. One that has miles that, which miles actually indicated, which we probably came from the world map. The other one has 0 miles, which probably came from SkyVector. And you can see there, it just picked up the new vector, and we're changing onto Landy, even though the plane isn't completely lined up. So the answer to the question is, even though there's a double entry, it looks like everything worked just fine. It skipped over and is going on to the next waypoint, which is awesome. So guys, thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button if you like what you saw today. Hopefully this gave you some insight into how to create flight plans in World Map as well as SkyVector and bring them into World Map. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Hopefully Microsoft will iron out some of the glitches with the G1000 and we'll see some better performance there. Hope this was helpful, guys. Thanks for watching and have a great day.